what I'm doing up there. And I think to a lot of people, it's a bit of a mystery, but no matter what I'm doing up there, if it hasn't been thought out at home, worked out carefully with the musicians in rehearsal, this doesn't really mean anything. So I think a lot of what you do is planned. And then during the performance, there's a little bit of extra adrenaline or something that may make you do some things that maybe you didn't do in rehearsal, as long as it doesn't go overboard. One of my favorite stories really has to do with my dear friend Antonio Pompavadi, silver medal winner of the Van Cliburn competition for piano. Really a tremendous musician, and just came out with a new recording. He's played with us a couple of times. So we were doing the Grieg piano concerto. If you woke up Antonio at 3:30 in the morning and said, we're playing the Grieg now, he'd have no problem just sitting down and playing it. He's done it a lot. Rehearsals went along, very comfortable, it's clear. Then we got to the performance. And all of a sudden, well, he pushed the tempo a little here, he held back here, he played this a little differently, and said, wow, I am not going to be on automatic pilot by any means. So I had to adapt to what he was doing. It was very exciting, really, that somebody who's played this piece this many times was able to do something very special for us, and probably will never play it that same way. And any performance he did before or since was not the same. So that was a sort of something I had to really be aware of. We had Jamie Laredo and Sharon Robinson play the Brahms double concerto for violin, cello, and orchestra, and they were tremendous. And Sharon is an amazing cellist, and rehearsals were great. And she threw herself into it, and it was just terrific. We got to the performance, and I didn't know she had another gear, but she did. And she just threw that into overdrive, and she just carried the ball like you can't believe it. So, you know, when you're up there, the best made plans of mice and men are not always what you're going to find in the performance. And, you know, all the years that I've conducted, I can look back on the things that went wrong. You know, those things that, wow, that was a problem, and that sure wasn't any fun. And so you have to find a way to extricate yourself. I mean, I did Mahler's Second Symphony, and when we got to the repeat, I think there's repeat, and there's a part in the first movement, and I gave the same gesture I gave every time, and some viola player played during the rest. Now, you think I remember the fact that I studied the piece for 6 months? We had a grand performance, but you remember that somebody played in the rest. So there's these, and of course there's a dog in the background, which doesn't help, but he gets excited if he sees something. So can you still hear me okay? All right, so I'm accompanied by a dog. So those of you who are musicians know about what the baton is doing up here. Essentially, the first beat is always down. Second beat somehow goes to the left. You're in 4/4. Third beat goes to the right, and the fourth beat comes back up. That's basically sort of the pattern. But the most important beat is not the first, second, third, or fourth. It's the preparatory beat. So preparatory beat is what gives the message to the musicians what to do. Okay? So can everyone unmute yourself, please? Because I'm going to ask you all some questions. Okay, thank you. I still see a lot of red buttons there. Okay, Thomas, you're good. Marianne, great. So here's the question. Tell me, this preparatory beat, what does it tell the musicians or the singers?
Get ready, get set.
Okay.
Before you hit that down.
Right, good. First thing you do, and I teach, and I talk about this a lot, is breathing. So as a wind player, breathing comes naturally to me. For most human beings, I hope it does as well. You have to be a wind player to know how to breathe. So breathing with the ensemble, if it's a chorus, you're definitely breathing with them. If you're a instrumentalist, even a string player, breathes before they play. A percussionist breathes as they play. So breathing is an important part. So that's one thing that I will always do, is breathe with the orchestra. What else? Okay, Nancy, I'm asking people, what does the preparatory, the preparation to play, what does it show the musicians or the chorus? Anybody? Besides the fact that you're breathing, what am I doing?
Giving-
Okay, Tricia and Mindy, if nobody's going to answer, I'm going to have to rely on you.
Oh, gosh. I would say just as being a keyboardist in a jazz band, and watching that is just getting ready, getting your fingers ready and just ready to pounce, you know,
Okay,
on that
good.
note for what
All
you're.
right, what else does it tell you? It tells you when to play. Okay,
Mhm, right.
what else does it tell you? Gotta be doing
Watch me.
something there.
Watch me.
Watch me.
Watch
Now that's the
right.
egocentric answer. That's watch. What does the baton mean? Watch.
And go.
Go.
And
Right, but what am I showing you with the and go?
The beat.
the
Or,
Getting closer.
okay.
um
Downbeat?
It's
Downbeat,
Mary-
right?
I would say Marianne said the downbeat.
But what am I showing you with the downbeat?
The
Right.
and the
Right.
unspoken and before your first note and one.
Right, well, what is that? It's the what?
tempo.
Okay, I'll have to give you some examples.
Yeah.
Do you all know this, please? Okay, there's one, the Peer Gynt morning. That's exhibit. Here's exhibit B. Okay, you all know those two pieces, right?
Yep.
So we got the two pieces in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Which piece am I conducting? You ready? It's going to be one of these two.
The
The
second
one.
Right. Okay,
Tempo.
and here's the first one. Da 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 dee, da. Okay, now
Tempo.
what am I showing? Right. Thank you. The tempo. That's the first thing that you show with the preparation beat. Of course, you breathe, you show where the downbeat is. Everyone's answer was right. But the main thing that a conductor gives is the tempo. So, what is the tempo? Is the beat is felt, or the tempo is felt. So the orchestra, if this is in 6/8, the morning by Peer Gynt, from Peer Gynt, so they're thinking 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. So 1, 2, 3, 1. So the preparation is a whole beat, which in this case is a dotted quarter. 1, 2, 3. Ba, ba, da, da, da. Okay, now for stop. So I don't know what the tempo is. Maybe 64 to the quarter note, to the dotted quarter on the metronome. So every piece that I conduct, we'll get to that in a second. So here, bum bum ba bum ba 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 bum ba yum ba ba bum ba 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 bum. That's about 120 to a quarter note, 120 beats to a minute to the quarter note. So what is the difference in the size of the beat? Is the size of the beat related to the tempo?
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, well, the answer to me is yes,
Yeah.
but we'll see if we can get it past kinda. 1, 2, 3, 1. See the space that I have to move through to
Mhm.
get the beat? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. And the space here, bum, 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 bum. So you're going faster, so the amount of space is smaller. Now, if I were going to do, so if that piece by Grieg was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm beating dotted quarter notes, but within that is eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How about if I did this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bum, 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 bum. So the beat is a lot smaller because I'm beating eighth notes. Now, I would never do that. So, that's sort of extreme unnecessary micromanaging, whatever you want to call it. So the thing that you show is the tempo, and you breathe, and you get into their ecosystem. You're breathing with the flute player who's playing that. You're playing with the strings who are putting their bow on the string. So all that breathing stuff, as Marianne points out, is really a necessity. Okay, but that's not all. That's not the only thing that is shown with the preparation. So the preparation, you go to a concert, okay, and you watch the conductor, the preparation is the most, once you give the preparation and it's clear, the orchestra, you could fall off the podium and no one would notice, because they have basically the information that they need. Now, the nuance beyond that, as you're going, there are various other things that you can do. So what else am I showing with that preparation?
Anyone?
I don't know how to put this, but like the feeling of the music.
Absolutely, the character of the music. Let me just put it that way. The character of the music. When you see this, bum, dun, da, da, bum, 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 bim, yep. So that upbeat and bum. You want a really precise beginning. Bim, bum. Mindy's sitting at her keyboard, ready to play. Ready, Mindy?
Yeah.
Bum, bum. So you know what to do. So, so the character is very clear. It's march. It's excitable. It's fast. Now hear the character and da 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 dee da da dee da da. It's morning. It's peaceful, and so you're peaceful in your preparation as well. So that's another message. Would be the tempo, the character. All right. What else? Okay, I can exaggerate to show you. Okay, here's exaggeration. Ready?
Oh,
Okay, and here's another beat.
Mhm.
What's the answer?
Lorene, I think you had it, reading your lips, you're muted though.
Well, it's either loud or soft.
You got it. So this is the volume. That's a very funny story. The Otto Klemperer, who's a very famous conductor, was conducting, and the first oboe player, his name is Bruno Labate. And Bruno Labate called Otto Klemperer. He said, "Mr. Klems, Mr. Klems." And so they were rehearsing, and Klemperer was describing to make this like the sunrise over the mountain. So Bruno Labate, "Hey, Mr. Klems, do you want to loud or soft?" So that's the story. I thought it was sort of funny. So sometimes, all the imagery is great, but you want it loud, you want it soft. So now we have tempo, volume, and character.
Mhm.
All right, let's add one more. All right, so I'm going to do that same, what do you call it? The Peer Gynt. All right, and I'll sing along a little bit. And ya da da dee da da dee da da da. Okay, and here's another one. Here's Exhibit B. Dee da 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 dee da da da. What am I showing now?
Accents,
Okay, which
whether
I
they're,
call, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would say whether they're like striking or
Right.
elongated out.
Right, and the fancy word for this is articulation. Okay? Those are articulations. Those are articulations. Those are articulations. You have all kinds. You have, which is a very harsh articulation, which is a smoother articulation, which is another kind of articulation. Okay, so all right, so we have loud, we have volume, we have tempo, volume, articulation, character. Okay, I'm going to add one more to the list, and this is obtained through a horizontal gesture. So let's see if we can sort of figure that out. Let's try this. Let's do this a different way. Let's just everyone, even if it's delayed, everyone sing this note. Go. Very nice. Okay, you ready? Now I want you to sing exactly what I conduct. Sing that note. You ready? Okay, now sing again. Ready? Okay, so what else am I giving you?
When to cut off or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of note is this?
Probably like an eighth note, quarter
Okay,
note,
longer.
eighth note. Short,
Right. And what kind of note is this?
long whole notes.
And there you go. So now we have tempo. Sorry, volume, articulation, note length, and character. Maybe that's all of it. But that's a lot in the preparation. That's what the conductor job is, to show to the orchestra. So, and, you know, audience members who are, let's say, not, you know, they don't need to know that necessarily. But if they happen to look and see what sort of information is being passed along to the orchestra, oh, yeah, I guess this is going to be fast tempo. You can tell right from the upbeat, or it's going to be lengthy, or he wants or she wants to know held out more, or it's a stormy character, or it's peaceful. So there, all of these messages are going to be portrayed in the to the orchestra. So this is the baton, but one of the you know, until you ever stand on a podium, ideally the amount of knowledge that you have is quite extraordinary and extensive. And I remember when I was 29, a while ago, I won a conducting competition. I came in second when I was 27. I came in first when I was 29. And I think now what I know compared to what I know then, I mean, it's one of the few professions where you always improve until your mind deteriorates. You will always get better because you accumulate more information, you accumulate more knowledge, and you accumulate more understanding really of even what the world is about in a way. So one of my definitions of conducting is a combination of life and musical experiences. And the more experiences you've had, and the more life experiences and the more musical experiences, the more that you're able to convey. So these are, you know, with all the musical knowledge, repertoire, you know, pieces you've conducted, it all still boils down to interpersonal relations and common sense. Because if you have a lot of musical knowledge and you really know the score, if you can't deal with people in a respectful manner and know how to interact with people, it really doesn't mean anything. I mean, maybe 50, 60 years ago, 70 years ago, conductors could be tyrants and they can just fire and hire people and yell at people, whatever. But one of my big things really is, and that's why I love the Violin Symphony, because our rehearsals are fun. You know, we don't have a toxic, what I call a toxic situation. I don't think I've ever had that situation where it was just really uncomfortable. One time we were playing, I guess maybe it was Billy the Kid we were playing, and now we started, it was going along, and I stopped and I said, you know, that really wasn't very good, was it? So we got to work and we made it good. So there's really no point in making people crazy. But part of it too is picking repertoire that they can be successful with. So you're not in a position to be impatient if things don't happen. Well, maybe you shouldn't have programmed Stravinsky's this or Mahler's that, because the orchestra isn't quite ready to play that. So you find the repertoire, and there's so much repertoire out there that they can be successful with, and they can feel good about what they're doing. And so, but all of this boils down to there's so much common sense that's involved with any walk of life, really. But somehow conducting is sort of the worst, because you have so many people who are relying on you. You have the orchestra, you have the board, you have the staff, you have the audience, you have the media, and all of these are involved with. And your job is to make all their efforts really come to fruition. I remember that for me, it's a huge responsibility to the musicians, the audience, the board, and the staff. I'm standing up on the podium, and people have given up, audience members, an evening of their life, money for tickets, babysitter, dinner. And so I'm standing up there and I said, this is really better be good, because it's my responsibility to make it good and make it the sort of experience that people say, wow, that was really very special. I'm glad I came tonight. And that to me is so crucial. For me, when I was at Cleveland Institute of Music, to know that I was conducting a soloist whose parents might have come from Korea to listen to the performance, I said, wow, this is better. I better know what I'm doing and do a good job for this person. It's a huge responsibility. I remember at Severance Hall, sometimes I would have to go downstairs or something, and I would see people driving into the parking lot to the concert. And there's something about that sort of freaked me out a little bit. So these people all come to hear the orchestra. And then all the people who have given money, the fundraising, and the staff that works hard, and the donors, and the board. And it all really boils down to the product that you're giving them. And you have to give them something or do something they're going to be proud of. So, and a lot of this boils down to today's subject matter, which is really musical integrity. And it even starts from the very beginning. You have the right musicians there, playing the right parts, picking the right music, rehearsing well, being honest but fair, being critical but supportive at the same time, creating, as I say, an enjoyable, friendly, but very firm and demanding atmosphere at the same time. So it's a big responsibility. And like I said, so much of it comes down to common sense. But the various points of understanding different styles of music and what is appropriate for a certain style, how to listen to the orchestra too is so important, because when you come right down to it, the conductor's job, especially in rehearsal, is not to wave a stick around. The conductor's job is to listen to the orchestra and make it and figure out. And then on top of that, as you're rehearsing, do you stop for this? Or is it pretty sure that the person will fix it next time? Or I better stop because the rest of the orchestra thinks I didn't hear the mistake. So you have to figure that out. Then you say, well, I only have one rehearsal, so all right, well, let me make sure the tempos, the transitions, all the key parts, the beginning, the endings, transitions are all very, very clear. And okay, well, this may be a little bit out of balance, but live with it, make sure you rehearse everything. So yet on the other hand, if you pick the program which is too difficult and you don't have enough rehearsal time, that all falls back on you. Or if you pick a program that's just quote unquote too easy, well, that's never really happened, but where you're in the position of, okay, we're good, we're done. I think everyone knows what they're doing, and I don't think I've ever been in that position where someone said, well, that program was too easy. And even the sense to know, okay, we have a when I took the job with Firewinds, I told them, this is what we're doing: Thursday, Friday, Saturday rehearsal, Saturday concert. You do this and you want me, I'm your man. But have a rehearsal every Monday night, you lose so much. You lose retention, you lose momentum. So we have 3 hours on Thursday, 3 hours on Friday. I have 3 hours on Saturday, but it's rare that I'll use all 3 hours. If I use 2.5, 2.25, 2 3/4, but people still have to have, like I say, for the brass players especially, they have to have the face to be able to play. And then the conductor has to understand. I was at a rehearsal where this youth orchestra was playing Shostakovich's Fifth Symphony. My daughter was concertmaster that year with the Cleveland Orchestra Youth Orchestra. And there was this passage at the end of the Shostakovich at all this high brass stuff, really taxing brass stuff. And these are high school kids playing. And he kept making them go it over and over this. I felt like going up to him and said, they'll never play this right because they've blown their lips out. They've blown their brain. How can they do this successfully? So all this part of pacing and understanding what the players are going through. Okay, I am at my limit of talking. So I think it's really time for questions or observations. I would be most indebted if people could ask a question or make an observation. It would be really helpful to me.
Well, Carl, I was going to mention, because, we're preparing for the family concert. So on top of everything that you just mentioned, now we have to deal with all the COVID stuff.
Right.
And which affects rehearsals and performances and everything. So now you have a whole lot more on your plate.
Yes, this is true. I haven't conducted a COVID performance yet. I've only performed as jazz clarinetist with the Cleveland Pops Jazz Orchestra. But what I haven't experienced, like single string players by themselves on a stand and wind players like in the next area code, who are going to be really far. So I told Trish, I think this is going to be fine. But we're very fortunate to be in a hall where we can open the back doors. We're in a convention center. We put the brass in the back to have as much airflow as possible. Make sure that the space we're playing is ventilated as possible. All doors are open. All the music stands are wiped down. People go to their chairs and except to go to the bathroom at break and one at a time. and wipe everything down. It's a new world, and I'm just praying that we can get to the point where two string players can be on the same stand. So it's definitely challenging, and people tell me, well, it's sort of hard for people to hear each other. And I said, well, at least the superhero stuff that we're playing is pretty straightforward tempo-wise. So once we get going, hopefully we'll be okay. We have a very funny program that we're doing for the schools. And again, I had to sit down and somehow be creative. So I have all different eras of superheroes. The first era of superheroes is Robin Hood and William Tell. And the next superheroes are Avengers, Incredibles, Black Knight, and Captain America, or something like that. That's the next group, but those are the real superheroes, I guess. The next superheroes are SpongeBob and Simpsons. So they're sort of the fun anti-superheroes. And then the last group is Harry Potter, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, those heroes. So it's a very sort of eclectic program because, quite frankly, to hear Captain America, Avengers, Black Panther, Dark Knight Rising, Wonder Woman, after all Spider-Man, all this music starts to sound the same after a while. And that's not a knock on it, because these guys are great composers, you know, whether it's Danny Elfman or Hans Zimmer or Alan Silvestri, who, by the way, has gone sailing with Jamie and George Steineman.
Wow.
They're sailing buddies. Alan Silvestri, who wrote the music for Captain America and Avengers and Forrest Gump, and I can't remember the other, but a slew of music. And he went sailing with our executive director, former executive, and her husband. I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, so you have these really great composers, but they write a certain kind of drama music. And in the movie, they work really, really great. But
I was going to say, Carl, there's a difference between movie soundtracks and movie scores versus, something meant for an orchestra.
Right.
That you have the music, but you have a visual to go with it. Whereas we just have an orchestra, you don't have that visual action happening or suspense or whatever.
Right, but one of the great things, Mindy, and you're absolutely right, is when a composer can write music that can stand on its own in the concert hall. That's really cool. I had an occasion, wow, it's over 20 years ago, I'll never forget it. Bruce Broughton came to Breckenridge, and we did a concert. We had, I can't remember, young Sherlock Holmes. We also played the theme to Silverado, which is just the coolest thing. And I asked him to talk to the audience about film music. And he said, well, we're showing this the score, the movie, and somehow we make it work. And when someone falls off the horse, the orchestra goes boom. And when someone climbs up a mountain, the orchestra goes woo, or whatever. And they find a way to make the music mirror what's going on the stage. And it's pretty amazing. And when people go and they say, oh, gee, was that really good music? I really didn't notice anything. Believe it or not, that's good.
Right.
That means that the music and the movie were absolutely well amalgamated, because back in the late 30s, when Max Steiner came along, for example, for Gone with the Wind and people like that, people were afraid, well, people aren't going to watch the movie. They're going to be so distracted by the music. But when you get in the hands of the masters, then it's really, really quite good. So I forgot what your question was, or your observation was.
It was just the observation of how music soundtracks or movie soundtracks can differ a bit.
Right.
And how they can sometimes be harder because you don't have that action.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I mean, just a true confession. My favorite Star Wars movie is Spaceballs.
Yes.
Okay? So
I'll agree with you on that.
I'm not a huge Star Wars person, but the score, for example, when we played a couple of years ago, maybe I don't know if you were here yet, when we played the Force Awakens, the suite, oh my God, 5 movements from it was amazing. The score is just magnificent. And that was just just really, really a cool thing to be able to do. It's just great music. But again, in the movie, that's the true test. Does it work in the movie?
Mhm.
And sometimes I'll go to a movie and say, geez, it's just too much music and it's overbearing. But, and you know what Williams uses too very often are what called leitmotifs. And this is from Wagner and earlier, but Wagner made leitmotifs very common. And what it does, it's a theme that relates directly to a character or to a situation. And then the theme can change according to the mood of the music. And there are these wonderful themes. Even you know, you take Raiders. So then maybe there's another part. And you'll take the same theme, but they'll treat it completely differently to create that atmosphere within that theme. So those are the real geniuses who can do that. And I think, you know, at one point the movies were heading, I think, sort of in the direction of sound effects and electronics and everything. And John Williams, I think, is so responsible for one of the main elements that made it possible for film music to get back into the studio with symphony orchestra.
Mhm.
And it was a huge thing. Okay, I need more observations, everyone. Questions? Even from management.
I already gave mine.
You did.
Carl,
Yes.
where will you rehearse the orchestra for the summer concerts?
The summer concerts will be rehearsed outdoors.
Oh,
We're not exactly sure. The ones that are gonna that are like June 5th for sure we'll rehearse on site. Hopefully it won't be blazing hot at that point, and that is sheltered, right? With that big canopy in Norwalk, so
Yep.
that should be
Yeah,
okay.
pavilion. Mhm.
And the July 4th and the July 25th ones will be what, inside the shed of some sort?
We're actually renting a tent.
Okay, is that
a
for the
stage.
performance too?
Yeah, there will be a
Okay.
tent for the musicians and then tents for the in case of rain for the audience.
Great. So yeah, I mean, when we rehearsed at BGSU, we rehearsed maybe 3 in the afternoon for 6:30, 7 o'clock concert.
Mhm.
You don't want to be rehearsing in the boiling sun at 3 in the afternoon outdoors. So we always held those indoor. One year, I like giving long answers to simple questions. Sorry. We did a concert at BGSU and we were rehearsing. And at 4 o'clock, there was a black cloud that came in and it's a huge thunderstorm. And so the start of the concert was delayed, but I didn't do it, I'm sorry. The people had to sweep the water off the stage and then rig the sound reinforcement and not get electrocuted at the same time, I guess. So that was a time we were definitely very fortunate to be rehearsing indoors. Of course, yeah, we did a concert once with Pops a long time ago, and I made a big mistake. I said to the audience, it was the first half of the concert, we are so fortunate, it's such a beautiful night. Well, we got to intermission and it poured. I still have music with wrinkles because of the water that got in the music. So that was my remembrance, never to say on the last piece on the concert, I'll say something, how fortunate we were to have such beautiful weather. And the time, I probably told you this already, when I was playing my Italian medley at the anniversary concert near the lake, and there were bugs flying into my face. That was the perils of an outdoor concert. So anyway.
Well,
I
the
guess
other
that
thing
answers
too,
your
Carl, is like the October concert, we actually had a Zoom rehearsal, a talk through.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But that's,
Back,
you know, that's the benefit of having professional musicians, is you can
Yeah.
do things like that.
yeah, well, back in October, before vaccines, before when people were still pretty freaked out about what was going on, I said, well, I'll do this, but let's just have a Zoom rehearsal. The music is pretty straightforward. You should be fine. And we'll play, you know, and nothing is difficult. Here's this tempo. I gave everyone their metronome markings. In other words, the number of beats per minute. And we talked through the program in great detail, and then it rained. So we never played. So there you go. I think about the only time at 4 o'clock in October that it rained. But there you go. And then we played at the Paper Moon with the jazz ensemble, and it was freezing cold. So yeah, Northeast Ohio or Northern Ohio, you never know what you're going to get. Any other questions? Well, I'm just around 45 minutes, which I think is a great place to stop. If you're good.
Yeah.
Thank you for attending. And Trish, can these be found online?
Yes.
These
So I'm going to be sending a survey out. With that, I will make all of these public on YouTube, and I'll send y'all the link for that.
Great. And I can put it on my personal website too.
Okay. Yep.
Terrific.
We'll get that
And I
all
could-
out to you hopefully in the next week.
And I'll figure out what I actually said.
Oh,
Hopefully it was all helpful, good information.
It
I
was.
have to
Terrific.
say,
Thank you.
Great. Well,
Thank
thank you for attending, and hope to see you all in person sooner than later.
Yeah, our first outdoor concert's June 5th. So mark, save the date on
See
your
you this summer.
calendars. We hope to see y'all there in Norwalk.
We'll be there.
Okay, be well,
Yay.
everyone. Stay well.